and welcome to another Coffee with Colin, and thank you for joining me. Last week I spoke about Stephen Covey, my all-time favourite thought leader, the late great Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And his work has been very influential in my life, so I'm happy to use it in my work and build upon it. And one of the things that we spoke about last week was the very first habit in the 7 habits is be proactive. We must actually take action and be proactive rather than reactive. The second habit is begin with the end in mind. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want you to begin with the end in mind. And one of the tools we use is, or analogies I should say we use, is 81 patchwork quilts. Allow me to explain. So another Stephen Coveyism. The week is a perfect patch in the fabric of life. I absolutely love that. The week is a perfect patch in the fabric of life because all of time, measured in human terms, is measured within a week somewhere. There are 168 hours. Every single week of the year of your lifetime is exactly the same shape and size. And if it's the perfect patch in the fabric of life, what comes to mind for me is that therefore a year, 12 months, is made up of 52 equally sized patches. But if you imagine your calendar, they're all shaded differently. They're different in tone and texture and color, depending on what's going on in your life at any given time. So if you can imagine stitching 52 equally sized patches together to form a quilt, which represents your year, there's a wonderfully, beautifully colored patchwork quilt representing 1 year of your life. So why 81, Colin, I hear you ask? Well, let me explain that too. Well, it appears, according to Wikipedia, and who's going to argue with Wikipedia, it appears that 81 is the average lifespan of somebody on this side of the planet. I'm here in the Republic of Ireland, so I'm here in Western Europe, and it would appear that the ladies live a little longer, the men live a little shorter. Wonder why that is, but anyway, we won't go there. But if you put the two together, 81 is the closest number I can get to. 81 patchwork quilts, which suggests to you and I that we have 81 patchwork quilts. We are being gifted 81 patchwork quilts of life to enjoy and contribute to work, play, and live. And therefore, we really need to figure out where we're headed. So what I'd suggest you do, if I may, is just go out to your 81st patchwork quilt and imagine you're standing on the precipice of that 81st patchwork quilt. You're just discarding your 80th, right? You've taken it off the bed. Your 81 patchwork quilts is getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and you're into your 81st patchwork quilt, okay? And hopefully it'll beat the odds. Hopefully the end is not nigh. But what I want you to do, please, is imagine your life from that vantage point looking back. Imagine your life from that vantage point looking back. And then ask yourself, are you happy with your contribution? Are you happy with how your health was during your 80 patchwork quilts to date? Are you happy with how your wealth was during your 80 patchwork quilts to date? Are you happy with your relationships and how you performed in relation to them in your 80 patchwork quilts to date? Are you happy with your spirit, with how you are about you in those 80 patchwork quilts that you've just discarded one at a time over the previous decades? So, 81 patchwork quilts. The week is a perfect patch in the fabric of life. 52 of them sewn together, beautifully crafted patchwork quilt that represents 1 year, and you've got 81 of them. The question now is, how many of you already used? How many of you discarded? For me, I've discarded 58 patchwork quilts. I am 58. I'm in my 59th, using my 59th patchwork quilt as we speak. And I'm looking forward, by the way, to my patchwork quilts for 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100, by the way. I always believe that I'm above average. But anyway, the question is, how many patchwork quilts have you discarded to date? How did you do with them around health, wealth, relationships, and spirit? How many have you got remaining? How many have you got left? Take your current age away from 81. That's the amount of patchwork quilts that you're likely to have left. And the question really is, where's your health today? Where's your wealth today? Where's your relationships today? Where's your spirit today? What changes might be required between now and the time that you're beginning to live under your 81st patchwork quilt? What changes would you like to make? What would you like to be different? What would you like to be improved upon where it is today, regardless of many patchwork quilts that you have used to date. Because we can't turn the clock back. We can't go back and fix anything in any of those patchwork quilts that we've discarded. It's too late. Gone. Job done. Over and out. The only thing we can do from here is examine the patchwork quilt that we're living under today. Win the week, win the war. Win the week, win the war. Everything happens in a week. If you do something for 15 minutes, positively, proactively, for 4 days a week, that's 1% living. 15 minutes is 1% of your day. It's actually 14.4, but you get the idea. 15 minutes is 1% of your day. And if you do that 4 times a week, well then 4 over 7, you've won the week. You've done something proactively for more times in the week than you haven't. And therefore, you've won the week. So I encourage you, please, go out to your 81st patchwork quilt and imagine you're lying under it and you're looking back on the life that you've lived, and ask yourself, are you happy with your health, your wealth, your relationships, your spirit? What needs changing from where you are today? How many patchwork quilts have you discarded? How many do you have left? What needs changing for you to be lying under that 81st patchwork quilt, happy and content, knowing that you've done a great job, that you've worked and you've played and you've lived? So, thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colin. I hope and trust as ever that you got something from it. Please, please, please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then, very importantly, come back next week and we'll share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, get some great coffee for sure. Get some fresh air. Get some R&R. If you spend too much time alone, I recommend you go meet some people, even if that is online. If you spend too much time with people, especially online, please take some time out and get to know yourself for a little. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organized for the week ahead, get stuck in, make next week count, win the week, win the war. And I'll see you here this time next week for another Coffee with Colin. Slán. One of life's great gifts, great coffee. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.